What is up, everybody? It's Dr. MSR, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the world of AI, but not just any AI. We're talking about knowledge-based agents. These are some of the most intriguing and potentially transformative technologies out there. Welcome to our deep dive into the world of knowledge-based agents in AI. These agents are like the brains behind some of the most impressive AI applications we see today. They don't just follow pre-programmed instructions, they actually use knowledge, logic, and reasoning to make decisions. Today we'll explore what they are, how they work, and their real-world applications. We'll break it all down, from the basic components to the challenges they face. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll have a whole new appreciation for the power of knowledge in AI. So, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's start with the fundamentals. What exactly a knowledge-based agent, or KBA for short? In the simplest terms, it's an AI system that makes decisions based on a pre-existing body of knowledge. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a massive library filled with books, facts, and rules about a specific topic. A KBA is like a super smart librarian who can access and understand all that information instantly. But it's not just about storing information, it's about using it intelligently. KBAs use something called an inference engine to analyze this knowledge, draw conclusions, and make informed decisions. This is what sets them apart from other types of AI. It's like the KBA can connect the dots just like a human expert would. We're talking about AI that can actually think using logic and reasoning. Now let's pop the hood and see what's going on under the surface. A typical KBA is built with a few key components. First up, you have the knowledge base itself. This is where all the magic happens. It's the massive database that stores all the facts, rules, and experiences that the agent needs to know. Think of it like the agent's personal Wikipedia, constantly being updated with new information. Next, you have the inference engine, which is like the brains of the operation. It's the part of the system that takes all that raw knowledge from the knowledge base and actually something with it. It uses logic and reasoning to connect the dots, draw conclusions, and ultimately, recommend actions. Then of course, you have the perception and sensors. This is how the agent interacts with the outside world, collecting new data and updating its knowledge base. And finally, you have the decision-making component, where the agent weighs its options and chooses the best course of action based on its reasoning. Now let's talk about the different types of knowledge that a knowledge-based agent has to juggle. Because, just like us, these agents need to understand different kinds of information to make smart decisions. First, you have procedural knowledge, which is basically the how-to knowledge. It's like a set of instructions or rules that tell the agent how to do something, step by step. Then there's declarative knowledge, which is all about facts and statements. This is the kind of knowledge you find in encyclopedias and textbooks. It's about knowing what rather than how. And finally, you've got episodic knowledge, which is all about experiences. Just like our own memories shape our understanding of the world, episodic knowledge helps an AI learn from its past interactions and make better decisions in the future. Chapter 4. How knowledge-based agents work. So, how does all of this come together in the real world? Let's walk through the step-by-step process of how a knowledge-based agent actually works. First, it observes its environment using sensors, which could be anything from cameras and microphones to text inputs. This is like the agent's way of seeing and hearing the world around it. Next, it takes that sensory information and queries its knowledge base, searching for any relevant facts or rules that might help it understand what's going on. Then, the inference engine steps in, using logic and reasoning to connect the dots, draw conclusions, and generate potential courses of action. Finally, the agent makes a decision based on all this information and takes action, updating its knowledge base with the outcome. It's a continuous cycle of perceiving, reasoning, acting, and learning. Chapter 5. Knowledge Representation in AI. Now let's talk about how all this knowledge is actually stored and processed. This is where things get really interesting because we're talking about translating complex human knowledge into a format that a machine can understand. One way is through something called semantic networks, which are basically visual maps of concepts and their relationships. Another way is through frames, which are like digital index cards that store information about specific objects, events, or concepts. And then you have rules, which are like if-then statements that define how the AI should respond to certain situations. It's all about finding clever ways to represent knowledge in a way that's both efficient and meaningful for the AI. Okay, so now that we've covered the technical stuff, let's talk about where we actually knowledge-based agents in action. And trust me, they're everywhere. Think about virtual assistants like Siri, Alexa, or Google Assistant. These are all prime examples of KBAs hard at work. They take your questions, process the language, access massive databases of information, and deliver the answers you need. But it goes way beyond that. KBAs are being used in healthcare for medical diagnosis, in self-driving cars to navigate complex environments, and even in video games to create more realistic and challenging opponents. From recommending products to diagnosing diseases, KBAs are changing the game in countless industries. Now, it's not all sunshine and roses in the world of KBAs. These systems are incredibly powerful, but they also face some serious challenges. One of the biggest hurdles is dealing with incomplete knowledge. In the real world, information is messy, and sometimes crucial pieces of the puzzle are missing. This can lead to inaccurate conclusions or biased decisions. Another challenge is ambiguity. Human language is full of nuance and double meanings, which can be incredibly difficult for KBAs to interpret accurately. And then there's the issue of scalability. As knowledge bases grow larger and more complex, it becomes increasingly difficult to manage and process all that information efficiently. These are just a few of the challenges that researchers are actively working to overcome. So, there you have it, a crash course in knowledge-based agents. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the fundamental components to the real-world applications and challenges. But the key takeaway here is that KBAs are not just some futuristic fantasy. They're already here, and they're rapidly shaping the world around us. From chatbots to self-driving cars, knowledge-based agents are at the forefront of the AI revolution, and they hold incredible potential.